Hello, Stephanie, and nice to see you this morning.
Morning. It's so good to see you too.
Yes, how are you today?
I am peachy. It's been a quiet morning. The kids are off to school. So we had like a couple days off last week because of snow. And we live in Alabama. There was no snow.
Oh,
So it's been nothing but rain. So,
okay. All
so we're
right.
not
Well, we
prepared for snow. Yeah.
we definitely got snow up here, so it was a winter wonderland up here for a while in Pennsylvania. So, yeah, it was fun. But that's nice. A snow day is nice whether or not there is snow, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. They had a good time. So it was,
Mhm.
no school is great.
Yes, amazing. And how many children do you have?
Oh, just two. They're one's almost 13 and the other one's 15.
Okay,
So, they slept majority of the time and then played games the majority of the time. So,
that's nice.
yeah.
Awesome. And so welcome, Stephanie, to the podcast. Why don't you just tell our listeners who you are and what you do? You're an artist, but you also do some other things too. So why don't you just tell us about it?
Sure. So I'm originally like an oil painter, but my background, I was in the corporate world for about 15 years where I managed a team of project managers and we did software implementation and I worked for IBM, UPS, and ADP. And so that's kind of how I got started into oil painting was because I needed a creative outlet and it just progressed into not necessarily a need for a creative outlet, but a need that I wanted to do for life.
Mhm.
And so about 15 years later, my husband got deployed and we to Afghanistan, and we decided that I was more needed at home.
Mhm.
And so from those points, the art business really developed. I focused on pet portraits,
Mhm.
and which I still do, and give 10% nonprofit animal welfare organizations.
Oh, is
And
that a pet portrait in the background there? The mouse?
oh, the little mouse, he was for fun. So
Okay.
he's called Cheese. So yeah, I've been on mice lately. So like mice, lions,
Mhm.
animals I just love. I understand them. So so that kind of started that. And then his second deployment is when I really got into the business side. And because I lived in corporate world, I've got an MBA, I've got another master's in project management and another, and I'm PMP certified, which is a project management professional
Mhm.
certification. And so what I was noticing was this is a skill set that a lot of artists don't necessarily have, but
Mhm.
it's a skill set. It's easily learned.
Mhm.
So that's what I do now is I teach artists how to run their businesses efficiently so that they can have more time to create.
Mhm.
Because good Lord, we all want to be in our studio or with our families way more than staring at spreadsheets.
Oh, yes, absolutely, definitely. And it's so true that like when you have everything organized, you like don't have to worry about it as much, so you can
Yeah.
actually be more present with your creative practice.
Absolutely. One of the courses I'm just releasing is all about time management to gain more creative time.
Mhm.
And because we're all looking for those checklists. And I remember like when I was first starting, okay, what do I need to do so I could just do those things
Mhm.
and move on? And that's basically what I'm teaching artists how to do is here's how you create your checklist.
Mhm.
So, when you're done, go have fun because
Mhm.
I mean that I truly believe a lot of us become artists because we love the freedom
Yes.
that we have when we get to create and the freedom that we have with our time, the flex time,
Mhm.
because it's just not a typical 9 to 5.
Right. Yeah.
We
And it's
love it
it's well, it's very much like an entrepreneur
very
in that
much.
like you're doing something you're super passionate about, but
Mhm.
then there's also like other things to think about, like, well, you don't have a boss telling you what to do, so you really have to figure everything out.
Right,
Mhm.
right. And well, that's part of it too. The reason I started the art business membership is so that you can talk with other artists
Mhm.
because you don't have a boss. That also means you
Yes.
generally don't have a mentor.
Right.
And so back in the day, like 1800s, 1700s, hundreds, artists would be apprenticeships. We don't do that anymore.
And it's such a shame. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons that really kind of started this thing so that because I was mentoring a young lady. This was, I think we've known each other 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she's 30 now. So, um, and she didn't know that you could be an artist and not be on drugs. And because I remember when I first met her, she was high, like you could smell it on her.
Oh,
And
really?
I'm allergic, funny story, I'm allergic to marijuana, so I could smell it like a
Mhm.
mile away.
Oh, wow.
So, and I could smell it on her, but when she, it was probably a good year after she met me that she was like, I didn't know that you could be an artist and not be on something.
Mm. Mhm.
And she's like, I didn't know that you could be an artist and have a family with a white picket fence, so to speak. We don't have a white picket fence, but that's what she said.
Mhm.
And I was like, yeah, you can do anything you want to. Just
Mhm.
because the way that society says something about us doesn't mean that's the way that we're defined.
Yeah.
And she's really come a long way.
Mhm.
Um, I'm getting goosebumps kind of thinking about her because we had another conversation recently, and she's, it takes a while being an artist trying to figure out, for some of us, it takes us a while to figure out exactly where we want to go because there's so many opportunities out there.
Yeah. Yeah. The art world is like it's like the Wild West. There's like so many different opportunities and there's so many different directions you can go. And then also like you can really create your own career these
Absolutely.
days, like through social media and um, like you can create your own company vibe, like without like having to ride anybody's coattails, you know what I mean? Like not
Right.
even like a gallery.
Right.
So yeah, that's really interesting. And that's so great that you were able to inspire that young lady. And yeah, I know that we wanted to talk about, you know, the process of accessing our creativity and then also like the stereotype of artists always having to you know, need like some kind of substance or something to be highly creative because there is definitely a precedent for that. I mean, throughout a lot of history, a lot of the great artists have had like substance abuse problems. And, you know, it's not well publicized because people don't want to believe that like the person who did this great thing also like was an alcoholic, you know. And and you know, the same thing goes for writers or like a lot of people in the creative realms.
Singers, songwriters, all those guys.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of it. And yeah, I've wondered why that is. And I think that part of it may be that a lot of artistic kind of personalities tend to feel things really deeply. And then this this substance could become like an escape and a way to make themselves feel good and like a self-soothing mechanism to like maybe not feel as much. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think you're 100% spot on.
Okay.
I know I had my own little kind of substance, not little, kind of, it was a substance abuse problem. And it was something that I didn't, yeah, the way I kind of correlate it to is nobody has intention to get fat. It's one of those things that happens over time, and every little morsel that you get just tasted good. So you keep eating and keep eating. Same thing with the drinking, and that's what it was for me, it was the alcohol,
Mhm.
and specifically wine, and, I would I wouldn't do it for creativity, but I would do it for the silencing of the inner talk.
Mhm.
I'm not good enough. Nobody cares. Why would who wants to listen to me about talking about this stuff? Who wants, all that negative talk that I think so many of us have.
Mhm.
And so I think you're 100% spot on about the, kind of silencing that inner critic.
Mhm.
And I think what took me probably about 6 months of journaling to really kind of get to the core of what the problem was.
Mhm.
The problem was for me, and I think many people that I speak to about this, it's a fear of failure, and that so that not good enough and all that. It's a
Mm-hmm.
way to silence that, because with some sort of substance, you're able to feel unhindered again.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to shut up that inner voice.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of work and journaling and just kind of the inner asking why am I afraid, where did this come from, and breaking it down and really understanding um, what was the point that you started being reliant on that substance.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not an easy thing.
Mm-hmm.
And but it can be done. It
Mm-hmm.
can 100% be done, but it is a when I first started like thinking about all this stuff, and you see the stuff on TV about, oh, it's a day to day, and unless you live it, you think they're full of crap. It's like whiplash. I didn't know whiplash was a real thing until I got in a car accident. you
Mm-hmm.
know um so it's one of those things that it is a daily decision. It's on in the beginning, it's a minute by minute decision.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to disassociate yourself in so many ways from everything that you're used to. And what I mean by that is, even watching TV,
Mm-hmm.
seeing somebody drink a glass of wine, it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, oh God, that sounds so good.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just like, and so you had to turn it off. And then when I went through the work of understanding, why did it look so good? And then why are they drinking on TV?
Mm-hmm.
And a majority of the time it was because they were upset and they were trying to
Mm-hmm.
silence their fears or the emotions. The other one was celebration. Well, find another reason to find another way to celebrate.
Mm-hmm.
The other reason was that they were sad. Well, I'm sorry, this is a depressant. It's just going to make you sadder, and then you're going to feel like crap the next day. There's no good reason,
Mm-hmm.
none. And now when I watch TV, I can see all of that when I watch somebody drink, and I'm like, they're just drowning their sorrows. They're not going to find the answer at the bottom of that glass.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
answer's within every single time.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry, I went on a little bit of a
No, yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I know that must not be easy to go back to that point and to think about, how that happened for you. But that's amazing that you were able to, like, first of all, that you were able to even recognize and kind of own within yourself that, like, hey, this is a problem, because I think that kind of the hallmark for people who are addicted to something is that they don't believe that they have an addiction. Would you say that that's correct?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of self-denial. I believe, I think they do know. If they have an inkling, if they have somebody that's near and dear to them that's questioning them, and
Mhm.
then they move from doing it socially to doing it alone,
Mhm.
that's really the big signifier, because it's no longer socially acceptable to the level that they're doing it.
Mhm.
Then they start moving into alone so that they won't be judged and feel like they're failing again.
Mm. Mhm.
But when it kind of circled back, I guess, a little bit to the creativity side, when you feel like you have to have this as part of your ritual,
Mhm.
I started seeing this when I was reading this book. And I brought it up this morning because it's like, get it fresh, and got it highlighted and all that.
Mhm.
Uh, but it's called, what is it called? Daily Habits
Mhm.
of Artists. Let's see, get out of this. Okay, Daily Rituals, How Artists Work.
Mm.
When I got this book several years ago, before I even really kind of figured I got a problem, I got it because I really wanted to understand what made artists successful. Because
Mhm.
when you can kind of identify things, logically, you can break it down, reverse engineer, and do the same thing type thing.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
what I was reading in some of these, and this is Rituals, How Artists Work, it's very short little notes about individual artists. And a lot of them relied on uppers and downers. They would go use downers to go to sleep. They would get uppers to go do the work and, forensically, I'm doing air quotes, forensically work for a period of time. And I'm just like, I don't want to live like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I would know artists that they would, part of their ritual to engage with a canvas was pour a glass of wine, turn on the music,
Mm-hmm.
get their paints ready. And one time they didn't have their beverage of choice, and they were like, "Oh, I can't do it now."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm.
That's a wee bit of a problem. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, I think that's a good point when you like one way to know if it is an issue is like, can you do it without it? Or like
right,
if you usually have a glass of wine, how do you feel without it? Or like if you go a week without it, can you go a week without it? Or does it become like this urge? And then you're like, well, I shouldn't have to deny myself. I think that's when you should look at it. Um, so for me, I've never had any issues with alcohol. I've only been drunk once in my life.
good.
And yeah,
Smart
but
girl.
yeah, I think that part of it is like maybe it's like a personality thing, but I don't like the feeling of like being out of control of my body. And when I did have enough alcohol to like feel tipsy, I remember being like, wow, I mean, this feels good. It feels good. It feels like you're like swimming in like bliss or something, but it also feels like I could tell that like my reaction time wasn't as good. I could tell that like I don't know. I just didn't feel safe. Like when I was walking down the street, I was like, wow, um, I feel like I'm not like as aware of my surroundings.
Right.
And I don't know. I just didn't like that feeling of being out of control. And so I will have like, I'll have alcohol every once in a while, like just like socially. But for me, it's like, I always tell whoever I'm with, I'm like, I can only have an inch because I can't, I don't want to like, I don't like the feeling of being drunk, I guess. But some people do like that feeling and they're like, yes,
Yeah. It's
let's get drunk, let's get
yeah.
wasted. And, I went to art school and, I mean, a lot of people who also went to art school, I would see it. Like there was lots of drug use and um, there was lots of alcohol use and there was lots of marijuana use, which is now a debatable topic, whether that's like a drug or if it's like a medicine. And so it's kind of like there was just a lot of substances that were going on, and and but there was a feeling that there was also it wasn't like it actually didn't feel celebratory to me. It actually it felt like it felt like an escape, like they were using this because like they actually weren't happy, in their life. So they were using it as an escape to like escape their reality, um, which to me just felt like you're like avoiding like the real issues that need to be addressed, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people, they'll do some sort of, you know, whether it's alcohol, weed, or whatever the group is doing, they generally do it to feel socially accepted, or
Hmm.
it's like a social lubricant, so they don't feel as uptight
Right.
about interacting. And as
Right.
as artists, we are generally introverts,
Yes.
and I'm an introvert,
Yes, me
and
too.
yeah. So, and that was part of it, is like having a glass of wine to be relaxed around people. And so then if you feel that way, then you kind of really have to start asking, why am I uptight? Why am I about being around people? What am I so worried about?
Hmm.
And, and the funny thing is a lot of times it's uh, fear of saying the wrong thing,
Hmm.
or not being part of the group.
Yeah.
But the more the more you do, like the more wasted you are, and no matter what the substance is, the more likely you are going to say something stupid.
I mean, that's a good point. That's a
So
great point.
that's the funny part of it. But then everybody else is all probably hammered and everything. They're not going to remember it. But then
Hmm.
you wake up the next morning thinking, oh my God, what did I say? Was I
Hmm.
stupid? Did I embarrass myself? Did I
Hmm.
embarrass my friends? And then it becomes even more worrisome.
Yeah.
So it's there's really not a winning situation, I think,
Yeah.
to do any of this anymore. And
Hmm.
I'm older, like I'm 46 now,
Hmm.
and so I don't. I'm not one of the kids in college anymore, type of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't feel that social pressure.
Hmm.
Um, there was as much anymore. I mean, there's a few like art gallery openings that I'll go to, and I remember when I first said that, yeah, I'm not drinking. And uh, one of the ladies, she was like, "Oh, Stephanie, you want a glass of wine?" I was like, "No, thank you." And she's like, "Oh, why not?" And because I decided I'm not drinking anymore. And she
Hmm.
was, "Oh, really? Why?" Like, I was just like, well, I just decided I'm not intentionally trying to poison myself anymore. And
Hmm.
I really like the way my brain works.
Hmm.
And that was the like the real one of the real reasons was because, as an introvert, as an artist, we are constantly questioning ourselves. And I think just as anybody, we're constantly questioning ourselves about, why am I doing this? I should be doing that. Da, 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 da.
Hmm.
And I know for me, I had a ton of ideas, like all the time. I still have a ton of ideas all the time.
Hmm.
And the drinking and all that was part of silencing all that. So I could just relax.
Hmm.
And so then it's breaking down, why can't I relax? And so
Yeah.
um
Yeah. Facing those like actual, like the actual issues that like made
yes.
you want to drink.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and then I got to thinking, I was like, why am I trying to silence my brain? I
Hmm.
am very, I don't mean to like toot my own horror, but I am really smart. Why would I want to, squelch all these ideas?
Hmm.
And then all it boiled down to was like, I didn't think I was good enough to do the ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah. And I think a lot of people feel that way
Yeah.
or a variation on it, like whether it's drinking or drugs or
Yeah.
whatever they're involved in. It's to calm that feel, to calm and make the painful thoughts and feelings go away or make them seem less painful, to because our minds are pleasure seeking, like as humans we
Yeah.
seek pleasure because um like our bodies and our minds give us dopamine rewards for things that reward furthering the species, like eating or you know, talking to a friend or, connecting with a partner or what else? Like if you're in a beautiful location, like these are all things that give you dopamine.
Mhm.
But then the thing about drugs and alcohol is that it gives you dopamine for no reason. So you then become like, well, I need that thing,
Right.
dopamine, where that only that can provide, but that's not true. It's just hacking your brain, whereas
Exactly.
like your brain is naturally designed to like seek out um, these actual experiences in life that are supposed to naturally give you dopamine. So like the dopamine is within you. It's just
Mhm.
like you don't actually need the drugs to feel it. You just need to like you need to find other ways to get it, in other words.
Yeah.
What would you
But
say to that?
well, I think you're spot on. Like I know you're a runner,
Hmm.
and so you get that runner's high when you're done, and you just
Yeah.
feel invigorated, and it's so rewarding when you do something that's so natural to you,
Hmm.
and that makes it even more worth it, because
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's
And
all within you.
I will also say that like I get some of my ideas for paintings when I'm running or like when I'm just done running. Like,
Yeah.
and I started to realize that and like kind of intentionally run with the idea of like, let's see what my brain comes out with, while this running session. So
Okay.
I'll run, and it's like different ideas will come to the surface. It's like it's shaking your brain up, it's shaking your mind up. And as you have those endorphins flowing through your body, it just helps you think in a different way, helps you think more creatively. And for me, and yeah, I do feel like this high at the end of a lot of running sessions, not all of them.
Right.
Um,
Some of
you
them just kind of do it to get through it.
yeah, sometimes you're just like, oh, I just gotta get through this. But yeah, if I'm having a really good run, and it's especially if it's like a beautiful day and I'm like running on the trails, there is this like amazing feeling where it's like you're like queen of the world or something, and you can like conquer anything. And I get all these like inspirations. But also for me, something that really helps me to unlock my creativity is meditation. And just like not with any particular religion, the meditations, but mostly the meditation is just to visualize and to kind of get to unlock the subconscious mind. That's usually my goal. If I'm like meditating for the purpose of getting inspiration, then that my goal is to like unlock my subconscious mind, because I know that my subconscious mind holds like images from my entire life, every painting I've ever seen, every experience I've ever had. And what I want to do is like bring the best ideas to the surface and like kind of rearrange them into my own version of creativity. And sometimes I can't do that with my analytical mind. And I just I want my subconscious mind to kind of like do the work and just like give me these visions. And and it does work. It sounds kind of like mystical, but um, you know, I think that it does the same thing as like taking a drug. Well, it serves the same purpose. Doesn't do the same thing, but it serves the same purpose as like taking a drug to be creative if you have that intention. Um, because what you're doing is accessing parts of your brain that you don't normally access.
Right.
Um, and but it's not like damaging to your body or brain. It's actually like really a positive thing. Um, so I don't know, for anybody out there who's like, well, yeah, but I like to take this or that. It just helps me be more creative. It's like, well, there's other ways to access that, and that where you don't need a substance. It may not be as easy to get to that point, or it may not be as fast. And that's where I think there's some like pushback.
Right. Well, you definitely there's anything that's going to be worthwhile is going to take time.
Mhm.
And these the get rich quick, the lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks, you know, use mushrooms, or I don't know, mushrooms or LSD. I saw that on one of the forums on it. And is that they're use LSD
Mhm.
to get creative. Anything that you use to get to a point that you want that's fast
Mhm.
is generally going to be unhealthy for
Mhm.
you in the long run. I mean, that goes for the diets, it goes get to the get rich, it goes for the drugs. But when you do the work
Mhm.
of going within, like
Mhm.
what you were talking about, the meditation, the running, I do a lot of journaling, um, fast drawing, knowing that you're going to rip it up and throw it away,
Mhm.
whatever you have to do to get your inner self to express itself outerly, outerly, there's a word. um, what you need to do to express your inner self creativity. Wow, I'm having a hard time here.
Creatively.
Thank you. Whatever you have to do to bring your inner self and express it creatively in a healthy way that's
Mhm.
not going to alter your brain in a
Mhm.
negative way is going to take work.
Mhm. Yeah.
And there's analogy that I like where, you know, using a crutch to walk is expected when you are injured.
Mhm.
And when you use these substances, you are in some way injured. But
Mhm.
if you ever want to run, you can't do that with crutches.
Mhm.
You have to
Mhm.
release the crutches so that you can release and run.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, that's such a beautiful analogy. I love that. It's so true. Now, what would you say to people? Now, what about this? So, I just want to be clear on my position in that I don't think substances are inherently wrong, or like bad. I think that they are neutral, and that there's some instances where they can be used for good and
yeah,
properly. Um, but that's my own particular viewpoint, um, just like from my own experiences. And then what about people who like, people who have chronic pain, who have like found real relief with some of these substances, or there's also like the ayahuasca movement, where people are like opened up to things that they've never realized about themselves, and it's like in a very controlled environment, and it's only administered like within this certain like retreat, stuff like that, where people have like these life-changing experiences because it opens them up to like something spiritual, or some aspect of themselves that they didn't realize. I don't know, have you had any kind of like what are your thoughts about that?
I personally haven't had any experiences with it, so
Mhm.
it's hard for me to gauge that.
Mhm.
But I know with the medicinal reasons,
Mhm.
that's medicinal, and there becomes a point where, is it for pain maintenance or is it because of perceived pain?
Mm. Mhm.
Um, and that's if it's perceived pain, that's when it shifts.
Mm.
Um, but
What do you think the difference is?
perceived pain, it's in your mind, and
Oh.
whereas like physical pain, like cancer, those
Mhm.
guys are going through a lot of pain, and
Yeah.
if they smoke marijuana, if they have some sort of you know morphine, opium based drug
Mhm.
to manage the pain,
Mhm.
that's I think that's completely acceptable because
Yeah.
that was prescribed by a doctor. It's
Right.
when they start abusing it after the
Mm.
pain has subsided, and but they think they can't live without it.
Right. Okay,
That's
I
when
see
it
what you're saying.
shifts.
Mhm. Okay.
Um,
Right. Now, now what would you say to people who maybe listen to this podcast and they're like, well, I really enjoy, this, that, or the other thing. But I don't know that I'm like addicted. How do you know that you're addicted, or maybe not addicted, but you have like a dependence or something you should look at? What are some like signs?
sure. So I think part of it is, do you feel that you need it to be creative? Or do you need it to do X, X, Y, Z. If you
Mhm.
need it to perform, then I think it's got uh, a perceived addiction.
Mhm.
If you feel that you have to hide it or do it alone, that's a
Mhm.
problem.
Mhm.
I've always said, you can't tell your mom about it, then you're probably shouldn't be doing it, type thing.
Mhm.
um, do you feel, and that kind of goes into the third one, it's like, do you feel ashamed by saying or telling people what you do?
Mhm.
And that kind of, any of those, there means there is an underlying problem. And
Mhm.
it's really something you probably need to dig deep. And then you mentioned earlier about, can you stop for like 5 days?
Mhm.
So one of the things that I found out is how your body processes drugs and stuff. It lasts longer than 5 days. About the
Oh.
fifth day, if you're addicted, about the fifth day is when your body starts going through withdrawals, and it'll, sweats, shaking, nightmares, things like that. So you really have to push past even 5 days.
Mhm.
Um, the whole quarantine idea, which is 40 days, is when true change starts to happen.
Oh, really? Okay.
Mhm.
I've never heard of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, it's you think that it's 21 days. I don't know where 21 days came from when you creating a habit.
Mhm.
21 days is just kind of solidifying that this is a way that I want to move forward. The 40 days is when true change starts to happen and your body kind of readjusts and recalibrates to the new you.
Mhm.
So it takes longer than what we think.
Mhm.
Even
Wow.
with sugar. I mean, sugar, if you give up sugar, like my husband's going through withdrawals right now. And poor guy, he's got headaches and stuff.
Mhm.
But it was felt bad for him. Like the first couple days, he was fine, and then like the third day, a small headache happened. Fourth day, migraine,
Mm.
and then even after that, there's more that you have to think about because social events.
Yeah.
What do you normally do at social events? You got to find a different way to interact.
Right.
So it's much, much longer than just 5 days.
Mhm.
It's, your first holiday, your first Thanksgiving, your first Christmas, your first Mother's Day.
Mhm.
Your first everything is a new way of interacting
Mhm.
without whatever substance that you're using.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you find, or did you have a, like an accountability partner, or like somebody to like help you when you were going through this yourself? Because I feel like if I was going through this, that would help me a lot, like prepare for like, okay, I'm going to this event, like, this is how I'm going to interact. I'm not going to drink this.
in the beginning, I did not.
Mm.
So like mine was my fifth day. Um, I let's see, I had nightmares at night. I thought it was like the devil was chasing my children type type of nightmare, and I woke up sweaty and everything. And I was going to a book club meeting,
Mhm.
and I was just kind of sitting there, and I was thinking, okay, I'm done. I'm just gonna stop off on the way home and get a box of wine at Walmart, and I'm just done. But uh, at the book club, the lady right across sitting from me, and I was half paying attention because I was already checked out. At the time, I was president of the Huntsville Art League, and they let's just say that was challenging all in itself.
Mhm.
But so, and I had like a really bad experience there. Um, then she just started talking. She was like 160 days, no alcohol. And it was just one of those moments where, you see it in TV where the whole room just,
Yeah.
it just flies right by you. And it was just like 100% focused on her. And she was just went on to tell her story. And she's like, I don't know why I'm telling you guys this right now, but I just feel like somebody needs to know it. And I was just,
Wow. I
I
just
know,
got chills.
I broke down crying
Mhm.
at that point. I was like, I'm on day 5 and I want to give up so bad.
Mhm.
And she was like, just keep going. This is the worst part. And so we're still friends. And this is like over 2 years ago. Sorry, I kind of got a little teary eyed on that one. But that was almost 2 years ago,
Mhm.
almost 3 years ago. I'll be 3 years in June.
Mhm.
And so that really helped, but I never went to AA. I actually called them,
Mhm.
and that was a funny conversation because I just called them and I was like, I read the book. You can get it on your Kindle, and it's you pay an initial fee, and then I think they like refund you your money.
Mhm.
And so, anyway, I read it just overnight, and I resonated with some of the stories.
Mhm.
So I think that's an important kind of education factor is find resources
Mhm.
and read it, talk to people. Cause I called them like the next day and I was like, so how does this work? Do you just show up? It's like that. And the guy, he was like, so is this for yourself? Is it court ordered? Are you a family member? And those are
Mhm.
questions I never thought about before.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, no, I'm pretty sure I'm an alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, okay, have you read the book? And did you resonate with any of the stories? And I said, yeah, I read it. I did resonate with the stories. And
Mm-hmm.
he's like, okay, then here's the meetings that I would, recommend. And he gave me like the times, and he talked to me probably about 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And but I decided not to go to the meetings because of my personality. My personality is one where I am a fixer and I want to help other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew if I went there, I would shift the focus from me to try and helping them. And I was the one that needed help.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think at that point, yeah, I was 5, maybe 6 days in, and I called. My husband was in Russia at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and he came home. We took the dogs for a walk. The other kids, our dogs for a walk, and and I told him, so I'm on day 7, no alcohol, and he's, you don't have a problem,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, no, I really do. And he's like, no, well, you can probably just drink on weekends and stuff. It'll be fine. And he's like, you never seem out of it. That's okay. I am a high functioning alcoholic. And
Mm-hmm.
there's like out there are people that you would not know
Yeah.
that have an abuse, a substance abuse,
Yeah.
because they're high functioning, they're overachievers,
Mm-hmm.
they, know what they need to do and they get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the same way. And I told Ben, I was like, "Look, it's no offense to you guys. I'm not upset with you at all. This is all on me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things that nobody was really paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
I would have a glass of wine and it just never got empty
Mm-hmm.
because I would just refill it. It's one of the tricks. And
Yeah.
and and he's like, "Oh, it wasn't that bad. You seem fine." I was like, "No, I don't remember a single Avengers movie."
Mm.
And he was like, "Oh." Yes. And that's when it really kind of dawned on him that this was for real. And then I think it was like 3 months later, we were at a Mexican restaurant, and I was like, "You can get a margarita. It's totally fine." And I said, "I'll drive home." And he's like, "You're really never going to drink again, are you?" I said, "Nope,
Mm-hmm.
I'm done."
Mm-hmm.
And
Good for
I
you.
was
Wow.
like, I feel so much better. Like, I look at your cheekbones. You have beautiful cheekbones.
Oh,
That
thanks.
that was something that, like, my cheekbones started coming back. I had no idea how much inflammation I had in my body. I
Really?
lost like
Oh, wow.
I lost like 8 pounds within the first month
Mm-hmm.
because of all the inflammation. And
Wow.
I know that stuff they don't really talk about.
Well, and that's the other thing, like if you're involved with any sort of alcohol, marijuana, any kind of drugs, they all have such an impact on your physical body, not just your brain. So they have an impact on your brain, which is why you want to take them, because they cause this feeling of euphoria, but they also have a detrimental effect on your body. And
Oh yeah.
well, I know a lot about weed now, but weed is not quite as bad, but it's still like if you smoke it, it like destroys your lungs, especially if you are a if you smoke several times a day or even like every day. It's like nicotine. It's like being a smoker. So it does the same kinds of stuff to your lungs. So and then it also stays in your bloodstream for like a long time, like several days. So, and the same goes for any drugs. Some drugs longer than others. There's like different timelines. And alcohol is the same. And of course, like there's so many horrible side effects of like drinking alcohol every day, like the fatty liver, and there's just everything that you do, everything you ingest has a reaction, has a chemical reaction in your body. And yeah, it doesn't just affect your mind, which I also want to like touch on a few other things, if that's okay. um like I just wanted to say, like, drugs and alcohol are not the only things that you can be addicted to, because you can be addicted to things that are not addictive. Like you can be addicted to your phone. Um,
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
that even gives you that euphoric feeling
yeah.
of, how many hearts did I get? And
Mhm.
then if you're not, didn't get as many hearts as you wanted, then it suddenly makes you feel bad. I know the kids have a major problem with that nowadays
Yeah,
because they put their
absolutely.
self-worth in
Mhm.
that.
Absolutely. Like this alternate reality of like the metaverse. Well, it doesn't have to be the metaverse, but just like the internet in general,
Yeah.
is like who are you online? And it's almost like that's more important than who you are in like real life and like your actual real life. And I'm going through like several weeks detox actually with Instagram right now because I felt like, I don't know, I felt like I was spending too much time like with that. And I just wanted to like actually work on like the heart of my business and like kind of just detox from that. And it's so nice to just like feel that privacy of my life kind of like coming back to me. Um, so yeah, you can be addicted to your phone, you can be addicted to couponing, you can be addicted to shopping. You can be addicted to cleaning. You can be addicted to watching TV. Um, you can be addicted to so many things, and I think that you have to really like sit with yourself and be honest, and really be like, well, is this an addiction or is this I don't know, like I feel like anything you do like multiple times a day every day is something to look at, not that that's like an addiction, but it
Mhm.
is something to look at, like what is my motivation for doing this, why am I doing this, how much time am I spending on this, am I ashamed of this, am I proud of this, how is this helping my life, how is this destroying my life, how does this impact my relationships, is this causing strife in my relationships, and also like how is it impacting the people that are close to me, um, and then also like how is it impacting my mental health. And yeah, I think also like a big reason for people to look at this is like is this helping you live to your highest potential, like as a human being, not just as an artist, because you can make an amazing work when you're like super high on drugs, and then it will just it will destroy you to continue that. So, and then it will be unsustainable, and instead of like an amazing long career, you'll have like you would have created like one or two amazing paintings. So like the goal is sustainability, and also like to live your best life. And you have to look at, is this thing going to destroy me in the long term, and be really honest with that. And if you're not sure, you can ask for feedback, all the people that are close to you in your life. Or if you don't have people that you trust like that, you can go to a counselor, get the opinions of several counselors. um, if you're truly actually wanting to live a your best life, the life that I believe you were created to live, then it will be uncomfortable, it may be embarrassing to even look at this, but I think it'll be definitely worth it in the long run. And I'm speaking to people that may have an inkling that they have an issue, or people that know that they have an issue, because these are like amazing people who have such gifts to share with the world, and who are just they have amazing personalities, they have like lovable souls, and these are people that maybe feeling are trapped in this addiction to this thing, whatever it may be, um, and they're either in denial or they don't know what their other options are. How do I achieve this feeling other than this thing? Who do I turn to? What do I do? Um, Sorry, that was like a long
No,
tirade.
it's good. It was really good. I mean, as a kind of a pragmatic approach to what are some other ways that I can feel this.
Yeah. Yeah, I
I
would love to hear your thoughts. What are some of the ways that I can I can achieve this feeling without having to turn to this thing? Like what would be some of the strategies that you would recommend?
I was actually trying to find a notebook. I found this notebook the other day where I wrote down all of these things
Oh,
back
wow.
like 3-4 years ago of
Mm-hmm.
what could I do alternatively.
Mm-hmm.
So, if it's drinking because or some sort of drug,
Mm-hmm.
some sort of drug, or even your phone,
Mm-hmm.
when you reach for it, why are you reaching for it? Ask yourself, why are you reaching for it? What are some other healthier options that you could do
Mm-hmm.
to instead of reaching for that? And write those things down, and
Mm-hmm.
then just kind of keep that list with you as a reminder for a while. Eventually the list is going to become ingrained, because if you're bored, for example,
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a lot of like my husband, for example, he'll eat when he's bored. So, okay, what are some things that you could do otherwise that are healthier for you? You can take the dogs for a walk. You can, pull weeds. Things. There are other things that you enjoy that you can do without drinking or eating or smoking, whatever it is. There are other things you can do. If it's a habit of like drinking something to wind down,
Mm-hmm.
what are some alternative drinks? Hot tea, hot chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
Hot chocolate's my new fave. And then maybe like hot coffee, something that still gives you that comfort, that
Yeah.
comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you just find alternatives for every one of those feelings that you would substitute that of substance with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
Yeah,
yeah,
alternatives are so important. I
make
was
a list. If you get angry, oh, that was another one on my list. When I got angry,
Mhm.
um, what are some things to do? I could walk, I could
Mhm.
kickbox, I can I can do some yoga, I can attempt to meditate. I can,
Mhm.
and I made all those lists, and then you just kind of go down one of them and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do,
Mhm.
and just make a list.
Yeah,
And
and some of them need to be like, some of them could be like even super easy, like because a lot of times it's like, yeah, instead of looking at my phone, I'm gonna go horseback riding. It's like, no, you're not. You're going to, you need something like really immediate. So like, instead of looking at my phone, I'm going to, I'm gonna do the laundry, or I'm gonna like just like clean something, or
read a
like,
book.
yeah, read a book.
Yeah,
Um,
delete the app from your
yeah,
phone,
yeah.
and that way, when you reach for the phone,
Hmm.
oh, well, let me start this book again.
Hmm.
Download a magazine. There's
Hmm.
all sorts of things that phone has a use for other than
Hmm.
social media.
Absolutely. Listen to a podcast like
Call
this.
a friend. Yes, call a friend even.
Yes. Mhm. Yeah, have
Yeah.
some real connection. A lot of times I think um, a lot of addictions come from a desire for connection.
Yes.
You want to feel connected, you want to feel loved, and there's nothing available to you at the moment, or you don't feel that in your current situation, so you turn to something else to feel this numbness, which is better than feeling pain. And so
Right.
yeah, or distraction, which is funny because you can also use distraction to get away from your addiction. I think, if you are feeling like an addiction, like you're feeling that pull, then you can have a list of things to distract yourself with, like we're talking about, kind of like a substitute that you can do instead.
Puzzles are a good one if you like
Yeah,
puzzles.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, this is so good. Oh my gosh. And I feel like it's such a it's kind of like a private topic that a lot of people don't talk about. And
Mhm.
um unless they are like truly having an issue, but I feel like there can be like milder forms of addiction that don't like take over people's lives, but they can hinder them from being their highest self. Um
Yeah.
like if you do spend, you know, a couple hours a day on your phone, for instance, how much more could you, how much how much more self-actualized and a better person could you be if you were spending that time, with friends or family, or if you were using it to like further your art career, how much further along could you be? So it's really about, it's not about punishing yourself either, because I think that can be a dangerous road to go down too. Because we all need, like we all do need like comfort, and like we do need like that time to check out. I mean, I think that's honestly why sleep exists. It's just finding like what is a healthy way to kind of check out and like get
Well, the
get
funny
really
thing
calm.
is the art has actually become that for me.
Ah,
And
yes, I love that.
it's the one time now, whereas before, you would drink or whatever to silence the voices. Now it's the art. Coming to the canvas is the most quiet place for my
Mm,
mind.
yeah.
And there are times where I'll just have some nice music playing, or there's like nothing at all.
Hmm.
Nothing. Just me and the canvas.
Hmm.
And that's when I think you can hear things so much more clearly.
Hmm.
And they're not negative,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
My hope is that there's somebody out there that's listening to this right now who might start to question, am I, do I have an addiction,
Hmm.
and start walking the path to that rediscovering your true self,
Hmm.
because she or he is in there
Hmm.
waiting for you to tap them and say, okay, I'm ready for you to come out now,
Yeah.
and release it,
Hmm.
because they're waiting. That inner voice is
Hmm.
waiting to be heard, and right now it's being silenced.
Yeah. And
And
change is possible too. Yeah.
change is 100% possible.
Hmm.
Change happens all the time.
Hmm.
And
It happens. I mean, it's inevitable. Change is happening
yeah,
every second.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's moving you forward to a position that you're meant to be.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, that's
yeah.
amazing. Thank you, Stephanie. And that this was so this is such an amazing conversation. And I just wanted to, I know we're getting towards the end, so we have to wrap things up, but would you tell me a little bit about your program and where people can find you, and yeah, just anything you want to tell if people want to work with you further, or are curious about your art, just tell us all the things.
Okay. All right. So you can go to stephanieweaverartist.com. You can also Google it, Stephanie Weaver Artist. And we have an art business membership program. I also teach people how to oil paint via Zoom.
Mhm.
So there are classes that you can take
Mhm.
virtually, self-paced, or you can join our group.
Mhm.
And for the art business membership, we have frequent discussions, ones around tech talk. As I mentioned earlier, I work for UBS, IBM, ADP. I have extensive technical background. So I hear a lot from artists that they're, quote, technical challenged. So
Mhm.
that's what we talk about, Photoshop, Illustrator, Camtasia, OBS, whatever questions that you have about tech, we're probably going to know it. So,
Mhm.
and then we also have Coffee and Creates, where you just show up with your fellow creatives and create something and chat and have a good time.
Oh, I
And
love that.
that's all via Zoom.
Mhm.
And then we've got our group coaching calls where it's myself, Jules McCullough, and Eve Stats. She's a artist over in France and Saudi Arabia. So it's a group coaching call where all three of us are on the panel, and somebody gets to sit in the hot seat, and it's a lot of fun.
Mhm.
Our first one of those, because last year we just had it where it was just group, like everybody chimed in. So
Mhm.
this is group coaching panel on February 2nd.
Mhm.
And we have these things every 7 weeks. I'll
Mhm.
explain that in a minute. But and then we have another one, it's called Lunch and Learns, where I bring in an expert in the field to specifically talk about a specific topic. So, and for example, this week we've got Legal Eagle, Kipney Stayhill. She's a legal lawyer, actually, for creatives. So she knows everything about copyright law, trademark law, all those things. So every 7 weeks, we bring in somebody specifically to talk about some sort of creative aspect of doing our job.
Mm.
And I do every 7 weeks because on the 8th, like one of the 7th week, I actually take a mini sabbatical. And it's where I don't do any work because as a probably self-proclaimed workaholic, I've recognized the need to withdraw from and just kind of focus on my creative aspects that that voice that wants out, and to help me because I'm so focused on everybody else. Bless you. Bless you. so I'm so focused on everybody else that this one, it's just me for 7 days. And so yeah, I have to be highly organized. We've got everything organized for the rest of this year.
Oh, wow. For the rest of 2022?
Yeah, I had so like I said, I used to be a program manager. So I managed projects.
Oh my gosh, that's inspiring. My goodness.
Yeah, so that's why I know how to do my time management very, very well. So that's the course that's about to come out, is how to do your own time management. And I have a handy dandy little cheat sheet for your daily checklist, and it's so good. It is so good because when I was first started, I know I'm kind of getting off on a tangent here. So, but when I first got started with art, all I wanted was a checklist of everything I needed to do as art business. And I found all these generic ones like, do social media. Do what with social media? I mean,
yeah.
So I actually get into great detail about each one of those components and what to do. So anyway, that's a lot of what we do is focus on the growth and a balanced approach to art business, because your art business is more than just creating. It's your life and your family.
Absolutely. And your art comes out of your state of mind. So you have to really take care of that,
Absolutely. So I have my first sabbatical next week. I'm so stinking excited. I'm
exciting. So fun.
I'm going to play tennis. I'm going to, because I love tennis.
That's great.
Reconnect with myself.
Yeah, definitely. And then what would you recommend for somebody who feels like they might have an addiction? Do you have any favorite resources, books, groups, anything that you might recommend?
Yeah. So if it's alcoholics, if you think you're an alcoholic, definitely go get the AA book. It's on Amazon. Check that out. There's also a great podcast called Euphoric Podcast, where it's about living an alcohol-free life. And so that's a great way to kind of get support and listen to stories that you might relate to. So I would find anything that you possibly can about whatever you think you might be addicted to, and listen and learn, and journal and write, pray about it, whatever belief system that you have. Ask for help, and help will be there.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. And also, I think being willing to like actually look at it and being honest with yourself is like the first start. And that may take some like lesser, it may take some discarding of your pride, like that you have it under control. So yeah, I think that's like the biggest step. And then I just want to add that there's also groups for children of Alcoholics Anonymous. So if you grew up in an alcoholic home, there's actually groups for AA, but they're actually for adult children of alcoholics. And because a lot of the ways that you may have learned like kind of dysfunctional patterns in your own life, and you're not sure what the issue is, you may have learned dysfunctional patterns if you grew up in a home of alcoholics, even if you don't, do alcoholism yourself. There's groups for that. And there's also groups for Marijuana Addiction Anonymous. It's like by the same Alcoholics AA. So there's also that, and they're usually like in every chapter throughout, every city. So I just wanted to throw that out there too. And they're all free. They're all anonymous. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there as well.
And I do want to say one more thing.
Yeah.
Admitting that you have a problem is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength.
Mm-hmm.
So be strong in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You've got it.
Yeah.
So,
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Stephanie. This was such an amazing conversation. And yeah, I just hope that we're all vulnerable to dependence and addictions in so many forms, and we're all only human. And I think that being able to look at this with just like clear eyes and being honest with ourselves is so important. And if you are struggling with addiction, then you're not a bad person for struggling with it, or you're not a weak person. And I just wanted to say that as well. um, Everyone struggles in their own way. So
yes.
yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Stephanie. I will put all the links that you mentioned in the show notes. And yeah, this was so wonderful chatting.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I just love your podcast. I love the light and energy that you have and your positivity. So I gravitated to you. So thank you for having me.
Oh, Stephanie, thank you so much. Well, have a wonderful start to your new year, and I will talk to you soon.
All right, thank you.
Bye.